Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to review the movie Inception. My wife and I caught a showing of it last weekend at the cheap theaters. Now, two warnings. One, there are going to be spoilers here. So, if you haven't seen it and you'd like to be surprised, move along. Two, I may come off sounding like a pretentious twat, and I apologize for that as well. I don't want to, but there were things about this film that kind of fell short for me. So, this is a complex storyline. I'm going to try to explain it as best I can and not lose anybody or any details. I may well fail. The basic concept is that in the near future, people have developed technology that allows you to enter the dreams of another. The military invented this to allow soldiers to train in actual combat situations, so they could actually hunt, fight, and kill each other, and the only repercussion would be you wake up. Pretty good training process. Beat using blanks and laser dots. But of course, as any good piece of military technology there is, it found its way into the private sector as well. And people in the private sector have turned it into a tool of espionage. The disadvantage to this piece of technology is that you actually have to wire someone into it physically. You have to connect them to the device. I believe that all the connections are done on the forearm. And this allows you to connect multiple people to the same machine, and all of them can share the same dream. Now, it's used as espionage because you can hook someone to it, create an elaborate dream, and trick them into revealing information. This is how people make money. Of course, it involves actually having to kidnap the person, which is really a severe charge and vastly immoral, much worse than just stealing data from hacking or something. But that's just me. And that's basically the story. Our team is led by Leonardo DiCaprio in the role of Cobb, an angst-ridden hero who's been hired by a Japanese corporation to get one particular man and convince him that he wants to break up his multinational corporation. Now, he's going to do this by, instead of extracting information, but by planting it, by doing an inception. Now, Cobb knows that this can work, even though most people think it can't, because Mr. Cobb has done it. Which leads us to why Mr. Cobb is all angsty. It seems that he and his wife were on the cutting edge of this technology, really pushing the boundaries of what it is to shape and wield and modify the dreams of others. And while hooked into one of his wife's dreams, she fused reality and the dream world to such an extent that she lost track of which was which, and she found herself tumbling into a dream limbo and drawing Cobb in with her. Now, she was stuck in this limbo. She couldn't tell that it wasn't reality, even though she was creating the world around her in real time. Now, because they were stuck in this limbo, time was subjective. It could literally last forever, even though the two of them were just lying asleep on their living room floor. And as long as she was lost in this limbo, she wasn't going to wake up, and they were going to be stuck here forever. In an effort to break them free of this, Cobb planted a thought in her mind, deep, deep down in her mind, that if she and Cobb committed suicide together, they would wake up in their living room safe and sound. It worked. They did it. Except the idea he planted didn't stop. When she woke up here in the meat space, she was still convinced that she was in the dream world, and that if she committed suicide, along with her husband, they would be able to go see their real children. Because the children that she saw here in the real world were, as far as she was concerned, mere illusions. Figments of her dream imagination. You can see where this is going. Cobb couldn't convince her otherwise. The idea he had planted was too good. She commits suicide. She had blamed him for abuse, so everyone figured that Cobb had killed her. So he's on the run, and the Japanese corporation that's hired him to perform this espionage task, this inception against the business leader, has said that they can make all those criminal charges go away, and he can go home. So he puts a team together, they go in, they do the mission. Now, the idea they plant in the mind of the executive is too clever for me to tell you. I thought it was incredibly well crafted. So I'm not going to spoil that for you. Go see the movie. It was quite nice. However, there were things about this film that I liked and things I didn't. Things I liked: wonderful acting, great writing, nice pacing, good action. I didn't know much about this film when I walked in. I had seen the teaser trailer, like a 30-35 second trailer, but that was it. I had never had any of the real details of the film. I didn't know that Ellen Page was in it, Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy. I didn't know any of these people were in this film. So I was kind of surprised, and my wife was pleased because she's a real Cillian Murphy fan. She thinks he's hot. So there were things about this I really enjoyed. And then there were things that I found flawed. For example, when he and his wife were lost in his wife's dream world, Cobb was not lost in the dream world. His wife was lost in the dream world. So why didn't Cobb just commit suicide, wake up in his living room, then gently bring his wife back to the woken world? Because that would have ended the storyline. The movie would have been 5 minutes long. Everyone would have had a happy ending. There would have been no drama. That's why. And I have a problem with that. If the entire premise of your film was based upon something that makes no sense, your film is flawed. Now, an interesting thing happened at the end of this film. My wife and I are talking about it on the way home. We don't talk about our films until we get outside. It's kind of the thing we do. We wait till we get in the car before we start discussing them. She saw the movie, as the movie went further and further into the dream world, as getting deeper and richer as far as the cinematography is concerned, the colors, the textures, the clarity. Whereas I saw it the exact opposite. I saw the film getting more and more basic. In fact, the last level of the dream world they go into is an Arctic environment, black and white. I saw it as getting simpler as they went down. So, that's interesting. I don't say that either of us is correct or incorrect, but we both took something very different away from this film. Now, you can't see a film like this and not compare it to The Matrix. I'm sorry, people are going to say I'm being trite here, that I'm being the pretentious twat I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to. And I have the same problem with this film I had with The Matrix. Well, not as many problems. The Matrix was a fun film, but it had more flaws than you could swing a stick at. But in the first act of The Matrix, I figured out it was Plato's The Cave. And from that point on, it wasn't all that much fun to me. The action was fun. It was cool, gee whiz, science fiction, cool stuff, and I enjoyed that. But it wasn't deeply philosophical. My wife walked into The Matrix cold. She knew nothing about it. She loved the film. Also, The Matrix fell down because it tried to convince the audience that you could turn a human being into a battery, and you can't. It takes more energy to run us than you would get out of us. So that right there was a major plot point fail. Now, Inception is also about dream worlds, but it's a better crafted film. The writing's better, the acting's better. The action isn't better, but it's equally as good. And everything about it, I think, is just a better quality production. It had Michael Caine in it. That right there works. It works for me. And it was a lot of fun. I don't regret seeing it. I'll pick up a copy once I can get one on DVD cheap with the, commentary track. I want to know what they have to say on that commentary track. It was fun. But it was also flawed. The flaw I mentioned earlier. And it was just... There was a whole lot of things involved in this that seemed extraneous. That they were tacked on just to make the storyline more complex and more visually interesting. And yet when you think about it, they wouldn't have been added into an actual mission because they would have made the mission needlessly complex. But that's just me. Now, one thing from the role-playing standpoint, this really comes off as a cyberpunk adventure. You're hired by a mysterious Japanese corporation. You have to put together a team of experts and make an insertion to steal data from a major corporation and alter the memory of an executive. That sounds like it was ripped out of any number of cyberpunk novels or role-playing games. So if you're a role player, you'll want to see this movie. You'll enjoy it. So I don't regret seeing Inception in the least. I don't regret seeing Matrix. I've watched Matrix numerous times. I've enjoyed it every time I've seen it. I will probably enjoy seeing Inception again, even if there are things that I think aren't too smart. So I apologize if I came off like a pretentious twat. It wasn't my intention. But sometimes you just gotta go with your strong suit.